There is a rule applied by some of the most successful, wealthiest, powerful people in the world. Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, former President of the United States, Barack Obama. And that rule is the 5-hour rule. It's something I've only recently discovered as of 2020. And ever since doing so, not to sound cliche, but it's true, it truly has changed my life. And if you want to be successful too, stick around and I'll explain exactly what the 5-hour rule is. And if you are new here, welcome. Do not forget to like this video, comment, subscribe, and please hit the bell notification. And as well, this video is sponsored by TubeBuddy. If you want to grow your YouTube fast like I have, up to this point in the end of June, I've gone from 0 to 1,000 subscribers. The link is in the description below. I couldn't have done it without TubeBuddy. It's totally free to get started. The link is below and it's also in the comments. Anyway, let's begin. Okay, back to success and wealth and abundance. Discipline is especially important in this time, pre, post, or during a pandemic, or any time in our lives. By discipline, I'm referring to you expanding your knowledge and your wisdom to become a better version of yourself. You know, we're always comparing ourselves to other people and circumstances, but they've lived completely different lives to you. And even though it seems similar, we never really can relate to that other person. As a former addict myself, I realize that the better version of myself is out there. You know, it's possible to improve yourself. And the only way anybody can improve themselves properly is not just by going to the gym, and it's not just by attacking their health, albeit that's important, but it's by learning and expanding your brain. By learning and adapting your brain and even your soul as well, you can do pretty extraordinary things. Okay? And some of the greatest minds in the world, such as, you know, a huge influence of mine, Warren Buffett, one of the world's most renowned investors and serious entrepreneurs and billionaires of all time. Guess what? He was and still is an enormous reader. So reading is the key to the 5-hour rule, but you know, I'm going to explain exactly what this rule is. So from what I understand, the 5-hour rule is about allocating 5 hours a week, Monday to Friday, to just learning, reading, expanding your brain. The top CEOs and entrepreneurs and experts in their fields never ever stop expanding their knowledge. Although you might find him controversial or whatever, I have no opinion on him, but Tai Lopez, who, you know, has become successful in his own right, albeit right or wrong, has always been saying it's all about reading. And if you've ever seen his videos, he's always talking about like all of the books he's read, and you know, he's always reading more, trying to read a book a week, trying to read 2 books a week, etc. Therefore, there is no real reason why you shouldn't be doing the same either. So I know what you're thinking now. You're like, oh God, I've got to read. Like, I don't have the time. I'm extremely busy. I've got kids. I've got this. I've got a business to run. I've got a job, whatever. Well, I don't think you can be busier than the president. So let's look at former president of the United States, Barack Obama. Let's all assume being a president is a pretty busy job, right? Especially of a country like America. Well, Obama still, despite being president, dedicated time to learning and expanding his knowledge. And he even said in an interview, I probably would not have survived in the White House for 2 terms without reading certain books that put me through it. So the president dedicated time to read so he can lead. Okay? So think about what you can achieve. Whether it is on your commute home or to the office, whenever you're traveling, that period, whether it be 15 minutes, 60 minutes, 2 hours, it can be dedicated to reading. There is something special about reading, and here's my take on it. For me personally, it relaxes me, but it also expands a part of my brain, something that technology, social media, friends, family, that can't do, that they can't do, but reading can. It forces me, when holding the book, or I like to hold a Kindle in my hand, to actually expand my imagination. It calms my breath down, and it makes me actually picture what is being described to me in the book I'm reading. And that doesn't, it doesn't have to be fact. It could also be fiction as well. And by the way, guys, full disclosure, fiction is actually great for your brain because it forces you to imagine places and creatures that are not real. If I was saying to you, like talking about your office or like a standard office, you could imagine that. But if I was to tell you like a realm where there's spiritual creatures and there's a dragon and, it just, it expands your brain and your, a part of your mind that is normally asleep in real life because it, opens up our eyes to other exploratory things like an imagination land. So don't think that you've got to read self-help books and history books at all, like all the time. Absolutely no way. Reading itself calms your mind. It lowers your heart rate to a relaxed, almost meditation-like state. And it even triggers endorphins. Also, you're opening up receptors in your brain that nothing else in your body can. So think about it. If you do the 5-hour rule for an entire year, 52 weeks, that's 260 hours dedicated to improving your thinking. And when your thinking is very, very good, you can achieve unbelievable things. Ideas will just come to you. If you believe in the law of attraction, by doing something like this will actually allow the universe to send ideas to you, to solutions that you never saw. If, however, you are clogged and you're stressed and you're tired and you're not very well, you're not going to be thinking straight. And when you're not thinking straight, that can be a very dangerous thing for all aspects of your life, in particular your business as well. So firstly, dedicate every day to reading. Even if you're not a reader, do not fret. I got you covered. You have audiobooks, okay? Yes, if you drive to work, I haven't got time to read. If you drive to work, you can kill time that you're going to be in traffic or you're going to be on the tube if you're taking the train, whatever, listening to the audio version of that very book you were setting yourself out to read. That way, you're killing two birds with one stone. You're reading, in a way, and driving, or learning while driving, as I prefer. Don't read and drive. That's very dangerous. Discovering audiobooks for me personally, like completely, truly changed my life. So, if Barack Obama, Warren Buffett, Oprah Winfrey, SCG, we're all doing it, you have no excuse. Remember this quote from Abraham Lincoln, another huge hero of mine. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. So let me now discuss how you need to be when it comes to reading. Because if you sit there and you're reading and you're not really taking anything in, it's not going to do you the world of good. You kind of need to pay attention. Okay? So do not read a book, obviously, while driving or operating heavy machinery. Obviously, please. But even if it's 20 minutes, 10 minutes, anything, just read. Yes, get the book out and read. If you don't make it to the end of the chapter, if you just, it doesn't matter how fast or slowly you do it. Or do what I do. I bought a tablet and I read on Kindle. I literally had no more room in my study and in my library for any more books. So I just thought, you know what, I actually prefer it. And also I like to lay down on my bed and the lighting is quite terrible. And I tried getting a portable lamp and everything, but I thought, nah, forget that. I just bought myself a tablet and I read on Kindle and I absolutely love it. I find the Kindle a lifesaver as I read a lot of books and it's so light and I can take it with me on a plane, train, bus, to a coffee shop, wherever. It is so much more effective and easier to use, but that's just my personal preference. So firstly, dedicate the time and try your hardest to find at least 5 hours a week. By the way, spread it out. If you can only do 20 minutes, say, on a Monday, try for 40 minutes on a Tuesday to make up that hour. Make up the time. Make up the time by the end of the week so you hit that 5-hour target. The next thing you do is to reflect. Yes, reflection is the most important thing. Think about it. When you have just read something or listened to something recently, 9 times out of 10, you might remember it or you might forget it. And when I mean think, I mean truly put the book down that you're reading, or pause it if it's an audiobook, and try to emphasize and put yourself into the shoes with the character if it's a fiction story, or even the person sharing their experiences if the story is actually true. For example, when I was reading a book about a prisoner, I put the book down and I imagined myself being in prison. I imagined myself actually experiencing what that person experienced. Or if I was reading a book about a business person and they've lost money, I can imagine that and I can actually relate to it because I've been in that position before. It's a horrible, awful position I don't wish anyone to be in. But at the same time, I've also been in the shoes and realised what it was like to be somebody like Ray Kroc, who founded McDonald's. And he was a over-the-hill 60-odd-year-old salesman who suddenly made it big by discovering franchising McDonald's, although he might have not done it in the most ethical way. But again, I emphasize with him on that sort of success trail where he was just like on fire. Everything he could do, he couldn't fail, but all those previous years he kind of did. So try to put yourself into the shoes of the author or the person who has shared their story. And even if it's a fictional thing, do it. Fully immerse yourself in their world. Realize that there is a reason why the book was written. To teach a lesson, perhaps. To share an experience. Or better yet, this is the best of all because I love fiction, to entertain you. Or even to motivate you through a difficult time or a problem you had no idea how to resolve. Sometimes it's easy to go onto YouTube or Google and just search the answers straight away, or, oh, I know what this is and what that is, simple. But when we take the time to truly listen to each other and reflect, that is where the magic happens. Which leads me to the most powerful and most important tip of all when it comes to the 5-hour rule. And in fairness, I kind of stole this from Dr. Jordan Peterson, who's another hero of mine, and I've read all of his books as well. Well, let's say actually I've adapted it, okay? And he says, to measure whether you truly listen to somebody is to explain back to that person in as much detail what they have just said to you. So take this mindset with the book you are reading or the books you're reading or listening to. So if you're just reading a story about how to start a business and the chapter you've just read is about raising money, dictate back to yourself, or even better to a friend or a family member, as much as you can. By doing this, see how powerful this is. Go into as much detail as possible from what you've learned, or if you want to start this yourself, go ahead, just talk to yourself and say, right, what did I learn? Or they raised money by going to the bank, or they raised money through friends and family, or they had a target of doing this, or they worked for a job for a couple of years. You see what I mean? We want our receptors in our brain to be fully on. And therefore, the way to truly ignite that is to explain after reflecting what you've just read. That way, your brain has truly taken it in. And you never know, but in the future, you might need that information and it will be stored away in your brain for you to overcome a certain situation and to think more laterally. And suddenly, I don't know how this works, but you'll awaken things you never thought your mind could achieve. So try it. Let me know how you get on in the description below. Recommend any books. Recommend your own book, maybe. Let's all help each other and expand our horizons and expand our knowledge and wisdom and our learning all together.